So thank you so much for coming in. I know the times are tough. There are a lot of things that are happening outside, which are creating a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubts on how things would be. But I really appreciate that all of you have taken out time for your own learning, for growth, for sharing, and helping each other become more successful. I really appreciate that, and I love to be in this space of learning and sharing the knowledge. And today we have Katrijn with us, who is joining us from Germany. I'll be telling you a little bit about Katrijn in a few minutes. Before that, I would like to just give you a warm welcome from all of us from Meraqi. As many of you, I can see, have been in our sessions in the past as well. You all know that Meraqi, we are passionate about learning, and we love to create such platforms where we can have this knowledge sharing happening, where we have experts who are joining up from different part of the geography, and we can connect them with people who love to learn and who love to grow with that knowledge and evolve into much better human beings and lovely professionals at work as well. So this is another such platform, this webinar that we are doing today. And today's topic is amazing. We are going to talk about mindsets. And we have, many of you are part of our learning community. We have a Meraqi learning community, and we have been talking about mindset so much in the past few weeks. And it made every bit of sense to invite somebody who is a mindset coach and expert. And Katrijn was kind enough to oblige, even in tough times like this, to make herself available to take us deeper into this concept. So I really thank Katrijn on behalf of the whole Meraqi team, as well as all the people who are joined in today. So thank you, Katrijn, for that. So a bit about Katrijn. Katrijn is an expert in understanding, questioning, and developing mindset. And she has been working with individuals and teams and organizations in helping them understand the mindset and helping them evolve their mindset into a more empowering one. In fact, she has a very different take on mindset from what we have learned so far, thanks to Carol Dweck, who popularized mindset. And we have all learned about growth mindset and fixed mindset. Katrijn has been researching on something which is like mindset plasticity, and I'm sure she'll be sharing her nuggets of wisdom today about that as well. She is an experienced coach, a mindset coach, and organizational consultant. And one of the things that she believes in, that humans have the capability to go beyond their mind and to discover the freedom and potential beyond their limiting beliefs and thoughts. And I'm sure today's session, Katrijn would help us achieve that to some extent, looking at the time that we have, will be able to help us understand on how we can do that for ourselves. So I thank all of you once again. And we will dive into the session right away. Just one thing that I would like to share, the format of the discussion today. So Katrijn would be sharing with us few slides, and she'll be taking us through this concept of mindset. And post her discussion, we will have good 15 to 20 minutes of question, answer, and discussion times. So feel free to write down your questions in the chat box, or you can write down wherever you want. We can bring it up at the time of Q&A. And we would love to hear from you, take those questions, and Katrijn would answer those questions for you. All right, so without much ado, over to you, Katrijn. I'm really excited and looking forward to the session today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So let me just share my screen, and please give me some feedback whether that works.
Yeah, that's good.
Super. Okay, so I'm really very happy to be here. So thank you, Meraqi Consulting, for this wonderful opportunity to speak about mindset work. By the end of this webinar, you will be able to explain what mindset is. You will have learned some tools to identify and question your mindset. You can answer the question, can we change our mindset? You will understand something about the power of awareness, and you will know some next steps for progressing in mindset work. So that's what we're going to go through. This is me, and for a long time, I was very frustrated with culture change and behavior change in organizations. I had all the tools, and I was a trained coach and consultant with lots of experience, but nothing really worked. And I suppose I was stuck in what they say, that 70% of all change initiatives actually fail. And at the same time, in my private life, things were radically transforming. Through insights from my own meditation, from studying things like Advaita Vedanta and cognitive behavioral therapy, important parts of my life, of myself, were transformed. And I went from being full of self-doubt to more self-confident and more open to life. And it made me come to realize that these same methods must work in business too. After all, our work life is also about people. It's the same people showing up at work as in their private lives. And I had found my passion and my research subject, which is how to work with mindset. Because I was able to become a freelancer, I could dedicate myself to this subject. And for the past 3 years, I've been developing and refining this practice, mostly thanks to the coaching and the teaching I can do. And so I'm going to share some thoughts about this with you today. But first, we have to actually define what a mindset is. And this is actually more difficult than you might expect, because we throw the word mindset around a lot without being clear as to what it means. This webinar is called the Success Mindset. And I think we can agree that mindset determines how well we work together and innovate together. And it also determines how well we lead others. So it matters for our collaboration and also for ourselves. I'm jumping here. But popular approaches to mindset are very prescriptive, right? So I think you've seen this in the literature and in our social media. They tell you what your mindset should be like, that you should improve your mindset somehow. And importantly, they don't tell you how. They don't tell you how to change your mindset or develop it. So you may have read about the success mindset, which may even have brought you here today, or something like the agile mindset, which is very popular here in Germany at the moment in companies, because many believe that the right mindset, like having an agile mindset, will solve the problem of the failing agile transformations. And of course, the growth mindset, which was just mentioned, very hugely popular at the moment, developed by Carol Dweck from her observational studies of how children learn. So many people, when they talk about mindset, they're actually talking about the growth mindset, because it's come to mean the same thing for many people. But so none of these approaches tell us anything about what a mindset is exactly. They just tell you what you should believe. And they don't tell you how to find out what your current mindset is, or how to get from your current mindset to the desired mindset. So we really need to clear up some definitions first. Mindset for me is the set of beliefs you currently hold that determine how you interpret, judge, and therefore experience your reality. And beliefs are thoughts that include a judgment about ourselves, about other people, or about the world in general, the weather, God. You can have beliefs about that, and what we consider to be true. We consider these thoughts to be true. So these are two main definitions, the way that I interpret it and the way I work with it, and we're going to see many different aspects of this. We'll come to the difference between mind and mindset also in a minute. So we have an average of 6,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. The number is actually just a gross estimate, and you can find different sources for different numbers. And of course, it varies greatly among individuals. I guess some meditation masters have 1 thought a day or none. So some of these thoughts are conscious to us, but many more we remain unaware of. And we don't really know where thought originates or how the brain produces thinking, why we think certain thoughts and not others. So what produces thoughts? And even as a psychologically healthy adult, you're strongly emotionally attached to much of your thinking. And this emotional attachment is what causes it to be beliefs. So you could see beliefs as a stickier type of thought. You're attached to it. And some people, when they hear the word belief, they think that we're talking about religion or spirituality, but that's not what I mean here. We all have hundreds of thousands of beliefs, because any judgment, anything you say about how the world should be, other people or yourself, that's a belief in my terminology. So the number of beliefs we carry with us through life is absolutely mind-boggling. Here are some typical beliefs. People should respect me. Women shouldn't be so emotional. I'm not good enough. I actually think many, many people have this belief. I need a promotion to be happy. Also very popular. I need to know what to do. Life isn't fair. Or people should keep their promises. And these are very general, right? So maybe beliefs that you had at some point, or you know somebody who does. Some beliefs are very specific to me and very individual. Maybe at the moment, while I'm giving this presentation, you can identify some of the beliefs that you're having yourself while I'm speaking. You know, if you can hear your beliefs as I'm talking, you're very self-aware. And perhaps you already notice that most beliefs, they're not even originally yours. You didn't come up with them on your own, right? You learned them in the course of your life and internalized them. So your mindset is the result of your life experience and long, intense conditioning as a human being. As a baby, you came into the world without beliefs, at least as far as we know. But your human brain was already programmed to learn to explain and judge the world as fast as possible in order to help you survive. And the human brain is an immensely powerful thought and belief producer, as you know. By the time you were a young child, you had already learned many crucial beliefs, beliefs to establish the basis of survival in society. These are beliefs such as, I am loved, I'm not good at math, I should respect my parents. These are things we're taught and internalized very early. But for most of us, it's the official and unofficial learning that we do that really cements the beliefs. It really adds them on, and we learn beliefs from books, from friends in society, or from TV, popular culture, soap operas on TV, magazines. All of this influences us and leads to beliefs. And then when we get to formal education, here we completely internalize what is right and wrong and how to be successful in life, and especially how we should learn how to improve and develop. And there's a lot about trying to become in control of our lives. So many beliefs about that add on. And then when we enter the world of work, and now it gets to the situation that most of us are in, we come fully equipped with our personal belief systems. So our unique individual mindsets, depending on how we were raised and the experiences we had, and we bring along all the beliefs we share within our culture or even among humanity in general as well. So it's this whole belief bubble. And all of these beliefs is our mindset, and it creates a permanent subjective filter of interpretation and judgment on reality. So it's kind of like one of these funny mirrors where we're always looking in the mirror. We imagine our thoughts and beliefs to be facts about reality. That's the way reality is. But since most of our mindset is so internalized, we've taken it on so well that we are not aware of it. We are blind to this effect. So we think that that beliefs are how the world is and that our beliefs are reality. In this way, mindset narrows our view immensely. We interpret what we see and we notice only what we believe. So a whole part of the world is not visible to us, or we ignore it because of our beliefs. Let me give you an example. If I truly believe I have the skills to be successful as a leader, and this is a belief I have about myself, I will interpret the feedback that I get from those around me to support this. So actually, almost everything people say, I believe I'm a good leader, I have the skills. It doesn't really matter what people say in terms of feedback. I'll interpret it through this filter. If I believe I'm not good with people and my colleague is frowning at me, I will see that as a sign of disapproval. So our mindsets are kind of like glass bubbles. And this is a lens ball, which is a glass ball that when you photograph it, it refracts the surroundings and condenses them and turns the image around upside down. And I think it's one of the best visual metaphors for our mindset, because the refraction that it produces is not necessarily good or bad. It just bends and distorts. And sometimes it even makes reality more beautiful. Okay, but what does the science say about mindset? So please beware. When there is talk of research on mindset, like in this study here, researchers uncover a new mindset that predicts success. And this is from June 10th, 2020, from the National University of Singapore. What we are talking about here in this type of research is psychology, which is a behavioral science based on empirical studies of human behavior. And then there's neurology. And in neurology, we study the physical brain, right? The organ and the neural system. But so far, neither psychology nor neuroscience has been able to find mindset or mind for direct study. So they remain things that we can only study indirectly through observing what we think are their effects on our behavior. So the research mentioned on mindset is almost always based on the study of humans doing things and reporting about their subjective experience. This means that any work with mindset is going to remain outside the purely objective sciences or the hard sciences for the time being. And it's important to be aware of that when we see these studies appearing and information of scientific research on mindset. But we do know some really interesting things about the brain, of course. And one of these is the difference between left and right brain. And that comes from some very interesting experiments from patients that had a cut between the left and the right brain. And from this, we know that the left brain reasons and interprets and makes sense of reality. So it acts as a constant interpreter of what is going on. And in this sense, you could say that mindset is or might be located in the left brain. And psychology has also given us some important understanding of what we call cognitive bias. And I'm sure you've heard this term before. And this visual overview is, of course, not, it's too detailed to read, but it's just to demonstrate there are hundreds of these cognitive biases. And I'm sure we haven't found all of them. But let me give you two examples. So the first is the availability cascade. And this is the bias that says that the more an idea spreads, we believe an idea more, the more it spreads. So we think it's more true just because more people believe it, the more popular it gets. And the second example is called declinism. And in declinism, we romanticize the past and believe that society is generally declining or in decline and that things used to be better in the past. It's also quite interesting. So cognitive biases are strong opinions that we base on information that we think we have. They're mental shortcuts, a kind of cognitive laziness that stops the brain from overworking and having to think all the time and reason. And it allows the brain to work faster, but it also, of course, produces more mistakes. So in this sense, you could say that biases function as built-in beliefs in our brain software. All these many biases, plus the thousands of thoughts and beliefs you carry, they're operating in your brain right now. So they're continually filtering what I am saying and judging it. They're judging yourself, they're judging other people, and the world around you. So if you talk to another participant of this webinar here afterwards, you can be sure they will have had a different experience of this webinar. And they will be absolutely certain that much of this difference that they experienced is based on actual fact, not on their mindset. So this is fascinating. Stuck in our separate mindset bubbles, we believe we experience a shared reality. In fact, we all see the world distorted through our cognitive filters, biases, and beliefs. So no two individuals are the same. Therefore, no two realities are the same. And it's guaranteed that we are both speaking of different things. So the question is, how can we then really ever, collaborate well? It's by learning to be present, to listen, and to act from beyond these subjective limiting mindsets. And that's something that we all have the capability. We all have the ability to go beyond our mindsets. We just need to learn a few skills, and those are coming up. So we know what mindset is. We have some definitions, we have some idea of what it is, what it's comprised of. Now, how do we get to it? How do we get to know our beliefs? And we start by observing and identifying our beliefs and biases. So we actually become aware of these bubbles that we've stopped seeing. So we make them visible again. And you can see this in the iceberg model of behavior, that I like to keep the definition to limit mindset to working with beliefs because it's practical and accessible. Our mindset and its beliefs lie only just underneath our behavior. So we don't have to go all the deep down to our fears and our character or study our genetics. Our behavior lies above the water and is visible to others. Our mindset is invisible and internal to us. But if we just dive a little bit down into our minds, we can easily find our mindset. We just, it's good for our work with mindset that we only need to get to this layer of beliefs to work with it. So we just need to dip ourselves into the water a little bit and get a little bit wet. So imagine you and I are put on a project together. You were taught as a child that self-discipline and effort is the key to success in this world. But I was taught that success depends on the respect of people in power. So I have to get the respect of these powerful people. And now when we collaborate on this project, we will have completely different interpretations and strategies of how to succeed, how to make the project a success. Totally different views. Should I put in just the self-discipline and it's just about effort, or should I make sure the people in power know what I'm doing and support my effort? So if we remain unaware of this difference, it will lead to conflict between us. And if we discover our mindsets, yours and mine, if we have those explicit, we have more opportunity to deal with our differences constructively. So mindset influences so much of our work together. It's really, really valuable and very helpful to get to know it and to be able to make it explicit and talk about it. So the entry point to mindset are our beliefs. And one way to look at it is to see beliefs as strategies of how I try to get my values and my needs met. So here's another example. We both, or maybe probably all of us in this call, value truth. Truth as a value is important to us. But you believe, for example, one of the people I'm talking to, you believe that to be truthful, you must always speak your truth to others and actively stand up for it. So it's a belief about the belief of truth that you should speak this in all situations. I, however, believe that being truthful means knowing the truth for myself, and there's no necessity to always speak it or to always voice it. So imagine we're in a meeting and we see our boss covering up something. Our boss is not saying something that we know she knows and not speaking the truth to the team. we will both interpret this boss's behavior in completely opposite ways, because we have these different beliefs about what it means to be truthful. And we will think better or worse of our boss accordingly. And beliefs cause different layers of stress and suffering in us. So if you look at this visual at the bottom, you see that reality is simply as it is. So just what is happening. And this can be many little, it's just the course of your life. A lot is going on. Good stuff, bad stuff. That's not suffering yet. That's just things happening. And some of it is bad. Okay. So for example, I have a slight tremor in my hands. They shake a bit. And especially early in the morning, it's stronger. That's just a fact. That's just reality. I say it's bad, but it's still reality. But we humans, we add a layer of belief to cause this first layer of psychological suffering. So I don't stop at, okay, I have a tremor and my hands shake a bit. I say, it shouldn't be this way. Oh, it's horrible. My hands shouldn't shake. Something is wrong with me. Why is it this way? It really makes me feel ashamed when people see that my hands shake. Something's wrong. And then we don't leave it at that. We add a second layer. We add beliefs about the beliefs. And we say, I shouldn't be feeling or thinking there's something wrong with me. What's wrong with me that I'm thinking there's something wrong with me? I should stop that. I'm not okay because I'm thinking these negative thoughts about myself. I should have a growth mindset or whatever. So I'm sure we can add more and more layers if we try, but many people get really stuck in these psychological layers of suffering, and that's what beliefs cause if we don't watch out. So I think this photo is kind of appropriate because you see, our mindsets, our belief sets can really make life much harder than it needs to be. I'd like to do an exercise with you together. Just you can follow along if you like. And if you have a piece of paper and a pen handy, that would help. To find some of our beliefs just now in the moment, whatever comes up, okay? So we're talking about judgments. That's the easy entry point. Entry point to mindset is beliefs, and entry point to beliefs is judgment. So think of somebody you interact with daily. Just a person who you interact with a lot. Could be somebody at work, could also be a partner or somebody, a family member. And I'd like you to channel your inner judge, the judging person in you, the voice in your head that judges everything you do, but also what other people do. And really try to, just for this exercise, try to exaggerate a little bit. So you can allow yourself to be really mean. Write down what this mean voice says about this other person. So this one person you interact with, your judgments about them. And don't just list adjectives like this person is unfriendly or selfish, but try to include an explanation. Okay, so an example is Maria is selfish because people shouldn't keep important information to themselves, or because Maria keeps important information to herself, and this makes her selfish. So this is one example, and maybe if you feel like it, you can try to do this with somebody you can think of, and just write down 1 or 2 or 3 judgments that spontaneously come up in you. And I'm sure you have them if you're human. Okay, so some questions about these judgments that are interesting. Do your judgments sound very familiar to you? Do you have these a lot, or do they surprise you? So usually we find that our judgments about other people, no matter who they are, they feel very familiar. We've carried these with us for a long time, and we're always judging in the same way. That's interesting. And directly underneath your judgments, so just behind them, are your beliefs. And this is the explanation usually you give for the judgment, right? So in my example, Maria is selfish. And Maria is selfish, and the belief behind that could be something like people should not withhold information, or people should not be selfish. So these are these should statements, these beliefs that are directly behind, that are causing the judgment. And this is how you can get very familiar with your beliefs, just by focusing, becoming aware of your judgments. Also your judgments about yourself, not just about other people. Another exercise that you can do that's very helpful, it's very simple, but it's powerful if you do it every day, is whenever you experience negative feelings or stress during the day, ask yourself what you are believing. And you can keep a reminder, like a little band on your wrist or a little post-it somewhere, to remind yourself that whenever you feel this tension inside, or there's some unease, you don't really know what's going on, but you feel negative feelings, what am I believing in this moment? And write it down, because your mind loves racing, you know, at 100,000 thoughts a minute. So write the belief down. And if you do this over time, you can develop a kind of short list of your favorite beliefs, the ones that cause you the most stress, or that are most frequent. And these form the core of the limiting part of your mindset. So this is actually quite interesting to do over time. Okay, so we've kind of found the entry point to belief, which is focusing on judgment. The next question is, how can we work with these beliefs if they limit us, right? The ones that cause us stress. Because the good beliefs, you can keep those for the moment. But the negative ones, we might want to question them. And this questioning beliefs, it's a type of mental yoga. So it's like stretching for the mind. We're stretching some of these rigid beliefs we learned and internalized, maybe also a long, long time ago, but we still carry them around. And I guess it's a type of meditation or a healthy mind cleaning activity to engage in. To work with beliefs, and we just did this in the exercise a bit, but to work with these beliefs, we have to get them crystal clear to us on paper, because otherwise you're going to get entangled in the thoughts about the thoughts and then say, oh no, it's not really that, it's something else. So it really helps to write them down and to have them short and crisp. So write beliefs in a should or must format, because then it's really a judgment, like people shouldn't lie, you know, or I should be more successful, or whatever. And it's about yourself or other people. You also have beliefs about the weather, or about COVID or other things. These are also beliefs, but to start working with beliefs, it's helpful if they're about you or other people. And keep them simple. So one line short sentences. And as you noticed in the exercise we just did, it's helpful if you exaggerate a bit. But make them not too concrete, like only in this specific situation, or too abstract, which is just like all the time or everything. Find some sort of place in the middle where you can work with them. And this is just experience, so you can start practicing. Okay, so I'm going to go through a belief, questioning a belief with you. And I hope that from the process you can hear a bit how this works. And it's a fascinating process. It's questioning limiting beliefs, and it's from the work by Byron Katie, which some of you may have heard before. I know many people who just say, oh yeah, that's the strange questioning beliefs, it's not helpful. So I would suspend the judgment for a while and try it for yourself, because it's really this mental yoga thing. So there's it's a very powerful method, again, if you do it sincerely. And I'm going to work with my belief, which is my work must have an impact on other people. So this is actually a belief I have, that my work should have an impact. So I would write that down. And the first question we can ask is this true? And there's no correct answer to this. It's just how you're feeling about it in this moment. So both yes and no are fine. It's to kind of start opening your mind. And so is it true? Does my work need to make an impact? Well, yeah, for me, this feels really important to me. It's true. So my answer at the moment is yes, but it could also be no, and that's okay too. So we're just starting. The second question is, how do I react and how do I behave when I believe the thought? So I look at the emotions and the further thoughts that arise in me and how I treat myself and other people with this belief. And in my case, when I believe my work needs to have impact, I immediately notice stress. And it's helpful here to think of a specific situation. So for me, that would be like when I'm giving a workshop where I'm wanting participants to gain insights, and learn as much as they can so that I'm having an impact. So when I'm believing this, I'm much less relaxed. I notice that. I find myself constantly looking at participant faces, to check if they're actually gaining any insights, or I worry about what I'm doing and I'm less focused. And I start to doubt myself and the workshop design. In fact, and that's where it gets interesting, I probably have less of an impact than I could have because I'm so worried about having an impact. So the belief is actually creating exactly what I'm afraid of. Now, if we go to the third question, which is kind of a paradoxical one, and it's how would I behave? So who would I be? How would I behave if I couldn't even think this thought, if I didn't have the belief? And this is really the stretching here, the mental yoga. So imagine I could not have the belief that I need to make an impact with my work. Immediately, I notice the relaxation. So the pressure is gone. If I don't have to make an impact in a workshop, I can just be myself. It may have an impact on people, it may not. It doesn't worry me anymore. So immediately I have this deep sense of freedom and peace. I also imagine myself in this workshop situation, and I can see that I would also be much less stuck, in my own self-obsession, and probably much more open to new impulses and ideas that come up, especially being able to react helpfully to participants and their needs during the training. So I would be able to let go and design an even better workshop with more of an impact. So now we actually turn the original belief around and we rephrase the belief to its opposite. So in my case, that would be, my work does not have to have an impact. We just turn it around. And the challenge is, we challenge ourselves to find 3 realistic examples of how this turnaround belief could be just as true as the original one. So my work shouldn't have an impact. Well, example, no, it shouldn't, because often the impact I think that is necessary is not what is right for the participants of my workshops. So everyone should be able to take out of my workshop what is helpful to them and not what I think they should learn. Or another example, I also shouldn't have an impact with my work because sometimes it's more important to give people a place to just be in a group and to share experiences. It's not about me and my impact. So focusing on the impact I need to have may keep the participants from gaining the benefit of being together. And I am actually putting something in their way. So you can get really playful with this questioning process. It's a bit like a mental puzzle and a challenge to your thinking. And if you do it with some dedication and it makes beliefs that you're really struggling with much, much less rigid and lighter. Many people like to do this on their own in writing or journaling, kind of like if you follow it along with me now. But the process is also especially effective if you do it with a coach, because the coach can really help you stay with the process. And our minds, they love playing tricks on us. So they say, this is useless exercise, or I'll just skip all the questions 1, 2, 3 and go straight to the turnarounds to number 4. Or yes, I already know this, let me do the next belief. So I really recommend going deep with this before you allow your mindset to tell you this is useless. Okay, so we come to the next part, and that is the question, can we actually change our mindsets? And now that you've seen the questioning process, in action? Do you think we can? Do you think we can change our mindsets and our beliefs? Well, maybe the questioning leads to some change, but then should we spend the rest of our lives questioning every single belief? Maybe we should go off to a cave and spend the rest of our life there questioning everything. So no, that can't be the answer. And I don't think we need to go live in a cave, but we can't just adopt a better mindset either. And we really shouldn't be adding even more new beliefs. We have enough of them already. So I just recently saw this formula for change on social media. You might have seen it as well. And it says that your vision times your dissatisfaction with the current situation, plus if you take enough first steps, and that's all greater than your resistance to change, then the result will be change for you. So for me, this is much too mechanical and a simplistic way of looking at change. I actually proposed this formula. And here, I think it's much closer to how human beings really function and also more fitting to mindset work. But here, if you have enough awareness and you inquire into your mind, and this is multiplied by a lot of acceptance. And yes, you do need some dissatisfaction with the current state or just a desire for truth, which is also very helpful. You end up with understanding, insight, and the understanding is what leads to change. And we'll discuss that. So you might hear it that for me, changing mindset is a paradox. And there are two key paradoxes that I'd like to share with you. The first paradox is that we do not have to change all of our limiting beliefs to change our mindset. It's enough to just understand how the process works. The second paradox is that change cannot be achieved by doing anything, but that it requires awareness and acceptance. And we'll go into both of these. So actually, the goal is not mindset change, but mindset plasticity. And plasticity means flexibility. Agility, you could say. So instead of trying to change a mindset, from mindset A to mindset B, we should focus on getting the mindset that we have to be flexible. So we become much more free, creative, and effective individuals, the less stuck we are in any mindset. No matter how lovely this mindset is, if you're stuck in it, it's not good. So it's really about losing the set in mindset, not getting a better one. And more plasticity in mindset means you have more options for action. Because if I'm less limited by my beliefs, I see more options than when I only look at what my beliefs tell me to see. So remember the bubble metaphor. And because I see more options, I have more options for behavior as well. So I can behave in new ways that within my limited mindset, I wouldn't have considered it okay or even possible. But you might be asking, how can a great mindset possibly be limiting? So suppose you have a wonderful, fantastic, lovely growth mindset. Everybody wants it. It's fantastic. And you're always willing to learn, to see each setback as an opportunity to improve. How could that be limiting? Well, first of all, life is much too complicated to see it only through a growth mindset. There are situations where we should not grow. We should take the time to stand still and maybe even recover or even go back, regress. And secondly, if you have a strong growth mindset, you will be starting to judge everybody, all other people, by these beliefs. So you will have less empathy for those around you who are not able to grow for whatever reason. So even fabulous, great beliefs can also be very limiting. And I think it's very, very important to see this, because with all the talk about mindsets, we are missing this message completely. So paradox number 2 was that awareness helps, and actually willpower hurts your attempts to change your mindset. So you can't actually change your mindset through willpower. And this might surprise you. But try to look at your own experience objectively for a moment. How many times did willpower really help? And how many times did things just happen? This is a very strong belief in our society that we need doing and will to make our lives happen. And I want to challenge you to question this belief, or at least to keep your mind open. The superpower for mindset work is actually awareness. And I'd like to give you a metaphor. So imagine you're watching a typical action movie, and our hero, the hero of the action movie, has become trapped in a cave. Okay, so he's underground, trapped in a cave, and there's this rock slide blocking his only way out. And we watch the action hero as he's trying to move the rocks, and he's sweating and using all his strength to try to dig away at these rocks. And he gives everything he has, but we already in the audience, we sense it's hopeless. So finally, this action hero, he's completely spent, he gives up, he slides down to his feet and accepts his fate. He's ready to die. So no longer obsessed with working on the rocks and trying to force his way out, he finally becomes truly aware of his surroundings, of the cave. For the first time, he looks around, which is when he sees the tiny sliver of light at the opposite end of the cave. So to use another metaphor, you have to let the mud settle so that you can see the mud of your mind. True behavioral change, true change, is the result of an internal transformation. And this transformation is the result which is only gained by looking. It's the result of a clear and deep understanding of who we are as human beings and how mindset works in us. And this understanding comes from awareness only, not from doing anything. On the contrary, any form of doing usually stops us from looking. So if you lose your ring in a muddy pool, and that any movement will make the ring harder to find, will produce more mud, the only solution is to relax, to stop doing, and let the mud settle so that you can see. Any true transformation comes through insight. And I just read that a while ago on LinkedIn, that one moment of deep insight is enough to clear years of conditioning. So awareness and acceptance of mindset is enough. And it's this complete acceptance that allows things to change by themselves. And this is because that's our true nature as human beings. When we're no longer fighting our minds with our minds, like trying to get a better mindset, that's when change happens. And our culture is on a completely different track. We think acceptance is seen as a weakness, being passive, a victim, showing a lack of will and control of our lives. Business culture, it screams at us, just do it, try harder, apply your will and discipline. And if you fail, get up, try harder. This is like trying to push your way out of quicksand. You just end up digging yourself in deeper. So you can't change your mindset with more different mindset. A thought has no power. So trying to add more or different thoughts or beliefs, nothing happens except more brain activity. The rushing into doing things, trying out new methods, new tools, it keeps us stuck in place. So we're skipping over the transformational insight, the looking at ourselves and gaining clarity and insight, and diving straight into whatever new method catches our attention. There's nothing weak or passive about acceptance. It triggers our intrinsic nature as human beings to grow. We block this development. We actually block it with our frenzy of thought and doing. So what can you do after this webinar? How can you progress with mindset work? Well, do nothing. So by now you know that I'm only half joking. Here are 7 things you can do. So notice beliefs as they arise in your daily life. This is super powerful to really start to notice, this is not the reality. It's not facts. It's my mindset. And then notice the part of you observing these thoughts. So you create some distance to beliefs and to mindset because you're able to notice them as the observer. And notice that if you don't believe thought, reality just is. See if you can let the belief be, and see if you can approach situations without filtering them through beliefs. So that you notice that without beliefs, you come from a place of peace and not this stress. And finally, get mindset coaching. I truly recommend that. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Katrijn. I was so engrossed in the discussion, and I actually felt that you should go on, and I really wanted to listen more to you. I think the time is not enough. No. I think everybody would agree with me here that the kind of insights that you've shared today, we don't have, 60 minutes is definitely not going to do justice to that. So we'd love to hear more from you, and we look forward to doing that. So I have some questions, Katrijn, that came up. And some questions are repetitive, so I'll pick up those which have come up twice. So Pratishta and Anmol want to know that how do we work with plasticity? So now that we know that the frame has to be plastic, how do we work with that? I know the answer could be quite big for you to, you would like to hear insights from you on that.
Yeah, so I think there are many different areas where we can practice this plasticity. Working with beliefs is the one that I find the most accessible to most people. So there are other forms like mindfulness meditation, right, which creates distance to your thoughts. There's various body work. I mean, all the different forms of yoga. So many different long traditions of working with, these are my thoughts, these are beliefs, and how can I look at them from different sides and different angles? But I found, and that's what I like about the method that I presented, is that this works in a business context as well. So there's nothing spiritual, or you don't have to be, a practitioner or expert in yoga. It's quite easy. And I like the easy practical tools because we can actually do them every day.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Katrijn, another question that came up, that how to be free from fear, so that we can be more experimenting with life and to realize our full potential, because the fear kind of holds you back. So this is a question to Abhinav here. How do we handle fear?
Well, the short answer is to question the beliefs that you think are causing the fear. So what are you afraid of? What do you believe that will happen? And to question that. The other thing is that when you start to really notice that much of this fear has to do with thoughts, with beliefs that you have, you create, again, this distance to it. And at some point, at least for me, I saw that I create fear in many ways with my thoughts, and that there is a lot of my life and a lot of what is going on is beyond fear. It's outside of it. So if I can just see that it's my thought creating it, I'm actually already free of it.
All right. I think that's pretty helpful what you just shared. And I think there's so much more work that we can do. For me, what stood out was definitely moving from doing and becoming to just being, being that observer, being more aware, so that we can let the insights flow to us, and those are accessible to us, and we are more accepting of how we are, rather than putting ourselves in that bracket or box of trying to fit into a certain kind of mindset. I think that is a very unique and different way to look at mindset totally. And I think there's so much work that we need to do to, get that as a habit. Like somebody asked, how do you make that a habit? So I think that's something that somebody had asked here. And I know that's a lot of work that you have to do. And it's more about bringing awareness and being more observant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I like about the quote that I also read, that this one moment of deep insight is enough to undo years of conditioning. And that's my experience as well. So the good thing is, The bad news is that we're so obsessed with doing that we don't take the time to stop. We don't take the time to look inside. It's boring. Yeah, why should I look at myself? It's boring. Give me something new to do. Give me a new tool, a new book to read, a new method, something new to learn. So all this learning and growing, it's also escapism. It's also running away from yourself.
True.
And then when you look, the good thing about looking inside, whatever method you use, whatever speaks to you, if you look inside and you really have these insights about who we really are, and mainly it's about getting the insight that we're more than our thoughts and finding out what this more is. Everybody has to find their own answer to that. I can't give it to you, but this is the fascinating part, because once we see that we're more than our thoughts, things hugely change. And it has to do with no longer being so affected by thought. So not by the good thoughts. So you know, that's, people are afraid, oh, I will never be happy again. I will never be ecstatic because I don't believe my thoughts anymore. Well, it's a different kind of happiness. But you're also less affected by your negative thoughts because you there immediately see they come up, things come up, and you start becoming more and more able in the moment to just see, belief, thought, belief. Let me just be who I am instead of following all these thoughts and beliefs.
Very true. Katrijn, I had one more question. You know, something that you shared was beautiful, where you spoke about that our mindsets are shaped by our belief, and underneath the belief is our judgment, right? Can you share some insight on how we can probably work on, suspending judgments? That is one part of the question. And second is that I get to hear from a lot of people that the judgments that we have about others is a reflection of who we are. Like it's like some shadow or something that exists in ourselves. So, for example, if I say that, okay, this person is so and so, it has to do something with me, somewhere, where we talk about these shadows and negative traits that we have, which we see reflecting in others. So do you think that happens?
Yeah, so how to suspend judgment? You can't. Forget it. We are judging machines, human beings. And as long as you're a human being stuck in a mind and a body, you're going to be judging. But the point is exactly, again, we're trying to change something. Oh no, I have to stop judging. Yeah. So this is again trying to make ourselves better and to improve. No, just see the judging. See that it's happening. That's enough. Because once you've seen it, you know that it's going on and you will automatically distance from it. And I like to compare that to a really horrible radio station with music that you hate. You don't like the music, you hate it, and it's running all the time, this radio station. You're not going to be able to turn it off. You can't find the off switch, but you cannot listen to it. Yeah, so it's the difference between hearing something and listening. So you can have judgments. I have judgments all day, all the time. Sometimes I listen to them, but then I catch myself and I can let go again.
Okay. I think that's good.
That's the first part. And the second part was judgments of others are always about ourselves. I would say everything is about ourselves. So our whole reality, right, if you think of how mindset works, is subjective. We can only know our own minds, and we're always stuck in this own filter. That's another thing you can't escape. So every thought you think, even if it's about, I don't care what it's always about you because it's happening in your mind. But trying to understand the psychology, or how does this work exactly, or let's analyze the brain, for me personally, that's a distraction. So it's again, if we human beings, we think if we know more, if we have more learning and more facts, we're going to be more effective. And that might be true if you want to drive a car, or if you want to do brain surgery. I would hope you have the facts and I hope you have the knowledge. But if it's just about living a good life and being effective and being happy and at peace at work and developing natural development as a human being, then it's about not learning things. It's actually about unlearning things and just being, instead of getting all this knowledge in our brains.
And that's beautiful. That's like ending on a great note. It's 9 p.m. here. So
Katrijn?
covered the 60 minutes, and it was lovely to have you. Raman, sir, you want to say something?
Yeah, Katrijn, from all that I picked up from you today, was that we should have a mindset which is like water fits into anything. Water can be poured into a jug, into a glass, into anything. So keep an open mindset. The other thing I've learned in recent times about self-awareness is, have you earned the next moment of your life? If you're going to get that answer, I think you're not going to be judgmental about what happened the earlier moment, because you're only thinking forward. So this is what I felt after I heard you, and this is what I take from it, saying plasticity is being like water fitting into anything. And if I can answer that question saying, have I earned the next moment, because nothing is guaranteed, I think I'll be away from mindset. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Raman. So thank you so much, Katrijn. Such an insightful session. I think there is so much that we all be thinking about today and the days to come. About what we discussed today it's a lot. It's very deep insights into mind and mindset, and a heartful gratitude for that. I thank you on behalf of all the people posting messages that they had an amazing session today, and really thankful for that, Katrijn, for bringing all these wonderful. I think it's years of research and years of going deep within that you have brought and packaged in just 60 minutes for our time. So I thank you on behalf of everyone here for sharing this wonderful insight, the practicalities, then the tools that you shared. I'm definitely going to practice that. And I recommend everybody try doing these, the exercises that Katrijn has shared today. I think it's something that we would all like to work upon. It's going to be amazing working on them and working on our mindset so that we are more plastic and be more aware. Thank you so much, Katrijn. Thank you for joining in today. And thank you everyone who participated. Like I said, I know that there is so much that might have kept you away from today's webinar, but I'm really thankful that you took out time, and your presence made all the difference. So thank you for your interaction, for your questions. And we look forward to having more of Katrijn, so we'll see how we can do that. All right. Thank you so much once again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. Thank you.
Bye-bye.